Tibet, known as the roof of the world, has a rich and unique culture that has been under threat from Chinese colonization for decades. The Chinese government claims that Tibet has been part of China for centuries, but many Tibetans argue that they have had a distinct culture, language, and political system for much longer. In 1949, the Chinese People's Liberation Army invaded Tibet and established control over the region. Since then, the Chinese government has implemented policies aimed at assimilating Tibetans into Chinese culture and suppressing Tibetan identity. One of the most significant ways in which China has colonized Tibet is through the relocation of large numbers of ethnic Han Chinese into the region. This has led to a significant demographic change, with Tibetans becoming a minority in their own homeland. The Chinese government has also encouraged intermarriage between Han Chinese and Tibetans, further diluting Tibetan culture. Another way in which China has sought to control Tibet is through the implementation of strict controls on religious expression. Buddhism is the dominant religion in Tibet, and for centuries it has been closely tied to Tibetan culture and identity. However, the Chinese government has sought to control and regulate the practice of Buddhism, including the appointment of government-approved reincarnations of High Lamas, the destruction of monasteries, and the arrest of religious leaders. Additionally, the Chinese government has implemented strict controls on the Tibetan language, education, and media. Tibetan language instruction has been curtailed in schools, and many Tibetans have been forced to learn Chinese as their primary language. The government also heavily censors any form of media that is critical of its policies in Tibet. The Chinese colonization of Tibet has had a devastating impact on the Tibetan people and their culture. Many Tibetans have been forced to flee their homeland, and those who remain face severe restrictions on their basic rights and freedoms. The international community has called on China to respect the rights of Tibetans and to end its colonization of the region. However, despite these calls, the situation in Tibet remains dire, and the fate of Tibetan culture hangs in the balance.